In a week in which the president has seen the Jeffrey Epstein story continue to boil, in part with his own help, this latest development only added yet more fuel. We learned that his accomplice, who is serving a 20-year sentence for conspiring.
Now, that is a pretty good dig, but it's an accurate dig, right? As I've been saying, for a while now. Trump is the main reason why this thing is falling off the rails. He thought that he could control the narrative a lot more than he's able to. This situation has gotten completely out of control. They've lost the narrative totally. They're trying to regain it back now. And it seems like what CNN's about to do here is, they're going to try to spin and obfuscate the steps that they're taking in order to try to figure out, what his base is looking for, which is accountability. And let's see how they spin it, because obviously that's what's about to come.
20-year sentence for conspiring in the trafficking of girls as young as 14, just got her prison accommodations upgraded. Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted co-conspirator in the most notorious child sex trafficking case on modern record, has been transferred to a federal minimum security prison in Texas, a facility that typically, according to one former FBI agent I spoke to, does not even house sex offenders without a special waiver. This is happening with the Justice Department in talks to secure some kind of cooperation from Maxwell, and the president not.
What would still be the issue of this, right? And I can totally understand it if that facility isn't for people committing rape and stuff like that. Okay, she's convicted of trafficking and stuff like that and facilitating these types of things, but why not a minimum security prison? She's a woman. She's never had any previous crimes as far as I know of. She's not a flight risk. She's no security threat. So, yeah, if she's still in jail, and if you making her more comfortable can help getting some information out, God knows how credible this is going to be. Nobody knows. But yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you do that? I honestly can see if this thing was spun in another way, right? If the roles were reversed, and this was Obama doing something for another person, the media would be saying just a simple change in location, and he's able to get all this information about these crimes or whatever. You have to just start taking step backs and seeing how they spin things, how the media pushes a narrative, an agenda. What they want to get out there, the spin. They're not supposed to be spinning, right? The politicians are supposed to spin, right? They're supposed to give the information. They're giving the information, but they're giving it in an angle that taints it.
Not ruling out pardoning her. And of course, growing pressure on the administration from both Democratic and Republican lawmakers and voters to release more from the investigation of Epstein, who was, after all, once a close friend of the president. And on top of that, the president's...
See, once a close friend of the president. So, I mean, what does that mean exactly? Once a close friend? I mean, a confidant, somebody that he relies on. I mean, look at how far back they have to go. They have to pull a picture. That's a 25-year-old picture, maybe, maybe more. So that's what they have in the archives that shows that he was a good friend. I mean, he was at Hillary's wedding, Hillary, I think it was the daughter, but whatever. I mean, listen, again, they're going to spin this all however they can. I really want to see the angle that they're going with this. If this is all they got, they moved her into a nicer prison, then I don't know where they're going to end up with this issue.
Shifting account all week of his break with Epstein. Today, the family of Epstein accuser Ghislaine Maxwell, along with other accusers, Virginia Giuffre, reacted to the latest development, saying in a statement, quote, "It is with horror and outrage that we object to the preferential treatment convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has received. Ghislaine Maxwell is a sexual predator who physically assaulted minor children on multiple occasions, and she should never be shown any leniency." For more on this, we're joined by investigative journalist Sarah Fitzpatrick, who's been reporting on the story for a long time for The Atlantic. Also, defense attorney and former federal prosecutor Shan Wu. Good to have you both here on a Friday night. Shan, first to you. Under normal circumstances, how would a person qualify for movement to a lower security facility? What conditions or circumstances?
Guys, please, before I lose you here, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. Small channels, it really helps them out when you see a small channel. Hit that subscribe button. If you hit the notification bell, it's pretty cool too, because then you can be notified when I post another video. A lot of the people that I know have been telling me that they're subscribed, they don't see my videos, so notification bell would definitely help.
Circumstances would they have to meet?
I think we have to start with the point that most convicted sex offenders wouldn't qualify for this extremely low level. I mean, they can have a low level minimum security, but this is a camp. It's like the lowest level meant for white-collar people who are considered to be no danger to folks. Having said that, for this type of a change to occur, there usually has to be some extenuating reasons. For example, let's say there's a medical reason you need to move them to a facility with a hospital or a place where they're doing special treatment for sex offenders. None of those seem to apply here. I suppose you might also, if someone had been incarcerated for many years, exemplary record, that's why it justifies that. Again, there's no such situation here. And so there's nothing that's stopping the Bureau of Prisons or the Justice Department from explaining why this happened. There's no security risk to say we did this for medical reason, some family reason, but not explaining that really raises a lot of questions. And
Not explaining it. In the end, did they break any rules? Is it against the law? And this is the crux of the argument, right? They do all of this conjecture stuff, right? Where they say things, it's not the norm, the breaking of the rules, the tradition, whatever, lob whatever grenades you can. At the end of the day, did they do anything that they were not supposed to do? That's what we have to get at here. That's ultimately what matters, right? It doesn't matter if they're thinking outside the box. That's a good thing. Most of the time, that's a good thing, right? That's how you get things solved. You keep trying doing things a certain way. It's not working. So you switch it up. You do things a little bit differently. In this scenario, it's absolutely perfect. You're putting her in a more comfortable situation where you can start gaining her favor, getting some information out of her. Because I'm telling you right now, the files, the quote unquote files, they don't have them. They don't have the goods, right? They don't. They're not in Bondi's desk. They're not in Cash Patel's desk. They're not in Dan Bongino's desk. Trump doesn't have them. These things are gone. She's the only person that probably knows anything about the real detail and minutia, the nitty gritty of what was actually going on the island. I think in New York and also in New Mexico.
normally this would not happen.
Sarah, we read that statement, of course, from the Giuffre family, as well as other Epstein and Maxwell victims. Can you tell us what you've been hearing from the victims and victims' relatives as they take in this news?
Jim, you cannot overstate what a explosive and just kind of earth-shattering development this is for so many victims. My phone has been ringing off the hook all day today. Not just victims, but also from members of law enforcement who either worked on this case or have, followed this case closely, because it is just it is so unbelievable to them, the timing. It just looks and suggests that there may be some kind of deal made in the last couple of days. And the statement that the Giuffre family said today was so clear. It was shocking to me, actually, how strong it was. They said this smacks of a cover-up. And I think the major thing that all of these victims, members of law enforcement...
Okay, how does it smack of a cover-up? I'm not following the logic here. If they're giving her something, then she's giving them something, then... I mean, if in turn they turn around and say, here's how it would be a cover-up, right? They help her out, and let's say I guess they're implying that we're gonna hook you up so you don't say these things out loud. So I mean, you have to take it to the end point, right? You have to see if in the end they hook her up and they say, oh yeah, by the way, she didn't tell us anything, or it was just one guy. It was Prince Andrew, which we already knew. Yeah. Okay. Then you can say that this smells of a cover-up. Right now, they're in negotiations. They're talking. They're making deals. They're trying to figure this out. Again, you just have these, the narrative, and the left are just going to see, Trump pardoning pedophiles. Like that's the headline they want. Leniency for pedophiles. That's the headline they want. That's what they're going to push. And they're going to continue to push that. I don't think this particular angle is going to work, right? Because I think that all Trump cares about at this point is he just cares about MAGA as a whole, which again is many different groups, many different sectors. There's liberals, there's right-leaning people, there's conservatives. It's across the board that what encompasses MAGA. That's what he really cares about. He just wants to know that they believe that he's trying to do the right thing, right? The liberals can spin this all they want, and they can muddy the waters. And all that's going to do is, that's going to give their other side talking points. But in the end, it's not going to really provide any substance. Not like they really care, but the right, the MAGA, does care about substance, in my opinion.
Even just people of the general public who have such an interest in this case, it is the reason that this is so incredible is that it speaks to the very thing that makes the Epstein case such an issue of national importance. And that's the fact that the evidence suggests, laid out that we have learned through lots of testimony, through interviews and other things, that there were different standards of justice for people who had power and means. And that's why this story even has taken on this conspiracy theory level online across the internet because it has this stickiness, and that point was just underscored in the events today. So I would say the victims and others involved in this case, they are distraught and they feel that something is very amiss here.
Okay, so what if you pose to them, hey, listen, we're working out a deal with her so that she can expose the people that did the other deeds. That happens all the time in law enforcement. You have people that commit murder and work out deals. You have serial killers that work out deals, right? To get better food, to get better, whatever. Like there's always deals to be made, right? It doesn't matter what level of crime you've committed. If you can help solve other crimes, then you're in line for a little bit of leniency or like I said, some sort of a deal. Maybe you get chicken on Fridays. Who the hell knows? Right? Whatever can be worked out to try to figure out more information, that's what you got to do. And in law enforcement, whether it's prosecutors, whoever it is, you have to use this tool. That's one of the biggest tools you have.
So Xian Wu, you have the timing of this move to a lower security prison. You also have, at a minimum, the unconventional talks between the president's deputy attorney general and a woman who's been convicted and is now serving 20 years for horrible, horrible crimes. And you have attached to that the president's Justice Department's decision not to release files that he long said he would release. So when you add those things together, does that legally seem inappropriate to you?
It does seem inappropriate in this sense in particular, Jim, which is it's utterly in disarray. It's unprofessional. It's not how you would conduct an investigation.
Well, listen to, is that legally inappropriate? What does that even mean? That doesn't mean anything, right? And again, you guys have to, I'm not saying you don't do it, but what I'm saying is, if people don't listen to this regularly, what I like to pick out those things they're red herrings, right? Legally inappropriate. That doesn't mean anything. It's legal or it's illegal. It's appropriate or it's inappropriate. These are two separate categories that he's meshing into one to muddy the waters, right? What does that mean, legally inappropriate? Right? It could be inappropriate or it could be illegal. You can't combine those two. That doesn't exist in the wild.
There are many situations where someone who is giving valuable information as a cooperator, they may get little perks. They get more phone calls, maybe more access to the computer. There's no indication here that they're getting anything valuable, and one wonders what could possibly be valuable at this point. I mean, her testimony would be so biased, so discredited. Yeah. Not only that, you factor in the idea that the Deputy Attorney General is conducting the interview. It's really unheard of. Why not have the agents who worked on the case, the prosecutors who really know the case, see if there's something else that can be valuable? This simply sounds like they're playing some FaceTime to her. We'll have the deputy AG come in who never does interviews like this. And then when you add in the timing, we're going to give you a nicer, cushier kind of place to be in jail. It seems like they want to entice her into doing something that's helpful to them, but really there can't be anything of substance that's of value coming from her at this point.
Sarah, of course, many of the president's supporters, and at times the president himself, promised that they were going to be transparent where previous administrations were not, that they were finally going to release all the files that showed how far and wide Epstein's and Maxwell's crimes went. Now you have the president reversing that, it seems. And I wonder, do family members, victims, friends, relatives, et cetera, look at this as a betrayal?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everyone was willing to, on a bipartisan basis, of course, remember, there are over 1,000 Epstein victims, so this is a really wide group, and that's just that we know of, that the Justice Department has acknowledged. It is likely many times that. But I think it's important that this is, these victims view this not as a political football, which this has kind of become in recent weeks. For them, this is about accountability and justice, and that's important for two reasons. One,
yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. Accountability and justice. If you let her rot in prison, and don't dig down. Why they didn't do this earlier, I have no idea. But don't dig down and try to figure out what the hell she's doing. She's in prison for sex trafficking. To who? Who did she traffic to? Right? Why aren't those people in jail? It's pretty cut and dry. Like it's not a very difficult thing to understand. If you're in prison for sex trafficking, okay, like who is your number one client? Like shouldn't that be it? I get it. Maybe you can't get everybody. Maybe the top 5, the top 10. You think? Like the top 10, people that, and again, and I've said this on countless of my videos. If it's a honeypot trap to get guys that are screwing around, like, I don't care about that. I care about minors, right? Minors. Young children. That's the issue. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking for. And if that's what it is, then we need her. We need her to have the information. We need to get this out. We need to get this out. And, you know, if she can help us and help all those other people have some closure, then that's what we need. And it'll be a good thing. Guys, thanks a lot for coming out. Please, again, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Helps me out a lot. Follow me on X, 6283 Talk on the X. See you again in the next video. Thanks a lot.